Welcome back to our National Trust Grand Tour. Today we're in West Norfolk at Oxburgh Hall, a remarkable moated Tudor manor with over 5 centuries of history woven into its walls. This video will take you on a full tour, from the dramatic exterior to the intimate family rooms that reveal how the house evolved through periods of religious tension. We'll show you embroidered panels worked on by Mary, Queen of Scots, and explore the 500 years old story of the Bedingfeld family. We'll also stroll through the peaceful grounds and enjoy a moment's rest in the Catholic chapel. Whether you're planning a visit or just love a good wander through time, you're in the right place.
Oxburgh Hall was built in 1482 by Sir Edmund Bedingfeld, whose family have managed to hold on to this estate for over 500 years through wars and religious turmoil. The Bedingfelds were, and still are, devout Catholics, which made Tudor England somewhat complicated. Their loyalty to the crown earned them a knighthood from Henry VII, but their faith meant they spent subsequent centuries walking a tightrope between favour and suspicion. During the Civil War, the house was ransacked and partially burnt down. After generations of political and personal upheaval for the Bedingfeld family, the 9th Baronet was forced to sell Oxburgh in 1951. Sybil Paston Bedingfeld, the Baronet's mother, successfully reacquired Lot 1, the house and its gardens, and gifted it to the National Trust in 1952. Despite all this, the family have remained at Oxburgh for more than 500 years, and still live in private apartments today.
As you approach the house, the first thing you notice is the moat, which surrounds the house on all sides in a perfect square. Whilst very aesthetically pleasing today, it would once have been where the latrines discharged, not quite so romantic back in the day. On the north side of the moat, the Gatehouse towers rise up dramatically. This is the oldest part of the house, which required royal planning permission in 1482. The bridge visitors cross today replaced the original drawbridge. Oxburgh was constructed using red brick, a costly and fashionable choice at the time, reflecting Sir Edmund Bedingfeld's rising status at the royal court. Because brick was typically reserved for the most prestigious buildings, its use at Oxburgh served as a clear display of the family's wealth and influence. The facades are a blend of original Tudor construction and later Victorian restoration. The 19th century saw significant work led by architect J.C. Buckler, who repaired and embellished the hall after years of decline. Many of the decorative chimneys and window details date from this period, along with the 2 blocked sash windows on the west front ground floor.
Visitors enter the house via the single-storey south corridor, which was built by the 7th Baronet in 1863. This covered passageway links the family's private apartments and the public rooms, and occupies a space left by the demolition of the Great Hall in 1775. The saloon is a grand space on the site of Oxburgh's old kitchen. It was built for the 4th Baronet in the late 18th century as a picture gallery, and today contains mostly 19th century copies of royal portraits. The saloon is rather sparsely furnished these days, containing little more than 4 large carved oak cabinets, which were made for Oxburgh in the 19th century, and which incorporate intricate 17th century carvings.
As we continue through the house, we arrive in the west drawing room, a brighter, more open space designed for comfort and conversation. The wallpaper you see here, surprisingly contemporary in its pattern, replaced an earlier floral chintz wallpaper sometime after 1865. Overhead, the ceiling carries heraldic and floral motifs, celebrating the 7th Baronet and his wife Augusta, whose considerable inheritance helped fund many of the late 19th century improvements to Oxburgh. In the mid-20th century, the room took on a very different role. In 1951, it was transformed into a private cinema, with a small photographic darkroom tucked discreetly beneath the stairs. Beyond the drawing room is the west staircase, which was enlarged in the 1830s. Unusually, much of the woodwork here is actually pine, carefully stained to look like oak. The striking votive painting displayed here shows the first baronet kneeling with his family beneath the protective mantle of the Virgin Mary. In the upper left corner, the baronet is depicted safely escaping the Battle of Marston Moor in 1644.
The library at Oxburgh was created for the 6th baronet in 1831, transforming what had previously been a bedroom and breakfast room into a dedicated space for study and reflection. It houses a rich collection of books, many focused on Catholic theology, history and literature, a clear expression of the Bedingfelds' long-standing faith and intellectual interests. Remarkably, the room has changed very little since it was first completed. The Gothic limestone chimney-piece dominates the room, displaying 5 heraldic shields, including that of the Howard family on the far right, the same powerful dynasty that produced Catherine Howard, Henry VIII's ill-fated 5th wife. During our visit, the Regency Romance temporary exhibition showcased many of the pieces brought back from Europe by Agnes Bedingfeld and her husband Thomas. The newly married pair spent over a year on honeymoon in Europe in 1824, where they commissioned these rather splendid busts of themselves. One of the most charming features here is the secret door, linking the library to the dining room. Disguised as a bookcase, it would be hard to spot if you didn't know it was there.
The next room on our tour asks for a touch of imagination. This is the dining room, although today it's displayed without its table or chairs. Even so, the purpose of the space is clear. The richly carved panelling is filled with motifs traditionally associated with dining. Clusters of fruit, curling vines, and lively hunting scenes. Above the fireplace hangs a portrait of Sir Henry Bedingfeld, remembered for his role in overseeing the house arrest of Princess Elizabeth before she became Queen. Nearby are the newly reunited portraits of Agnes and her husband Thomas. Painted in Rome during their extended honeymoon, the pair had been separated for generations until recent conservation work brought them together again in this room. A tiny pair of scissors owned by Mary, Queen of Scots, is on display here too. Maybe she used them when making the embroidered panels we will see later in this video.
The north staircase, lined with generations of family portraits, leads up to the first floor, where the rooms begin to feel less formal and more personal. Along the stairs and upper corridor, you'll notice some of Oxburgh's remarkable leather wall hangings, installed around 1840. Their embossed, painted and gilded patterns catch the light beautifully, and it's rare to find this type of leather surviving in such quantity. They add a richness and texture to the space that makes it very tempting to reach out and feel the surface.
At the end of the corridor, we reach the boudoir, a small, elegant room that once served as a private drawing room for the occupant of the North Bedroom. Today, it is a quiet space where visitors are invited to take a seat and enjoy the lovely views across the moat. Just next door, the North Bedroom contains a splendid bed with a flying tester, a canopy supported only at the head end with no posts at the foot. The structure is remarkably heavy, so the ceiling above has been specially reinforced to carry its weight. If you are sleeping in this bed, you'd definitely need to trust in the engineering at work here.
One of the most significant treasures at Oxburgh, and a highlight of our visit, is the set of Marian Hangings. These original embroidered panels were created by Mary, Queen of Scots, and her companion Bess of Hardwick during Mary's imprisonment between 1569 and 1584. Now on long-term loan from the Victorian and Albert Museum in London, the hangings are said to have arrived at Oxburgh in 1761 through marriage, and were used as bed hangings in the King's Room as recently as 1973. Rich in symbolism, the panels are almost as vibrant now as when they were first created, some 450 years ago.
The King's Room is named for King Henry VII, who stayed at Oxburgh in 1498, although not in this room. Sited within the Gatehouse, the room reveals glimpses of its medieval brickwork behind the intricate 16th century Flemish tapestries added by the Victorian Bedingfelds. Look closely, however, and you'll see that these are not original textiles, but highly convincing reproductions. They were created in 2016 using digital scans printed onto linen. The four-poster bed is equally interesting. It was assembled in the 1830s from several older elements, including one dated 1675. The adjoining King's Room closet contains the most elaborate vaulted ceiling in the house and leads to the garderobe, essentially the room's original toilet. From here, visitors can look down into Oxburgh's famous priest hole. It is a very small, concealed space used as a refuge for a Catholic priest if the house was searched for evidence of forbidden worship.
Descending the Gatehouse staircase, the quality of the 15th century craftsmanship is clear. Even the handrail is formed from specially moulded brick set directly into the wall. At the bottom of the narrow spiral staircase, the small vaulted room is now the Armoury, and displays a collection of weapons, armour and military memorabilia, much of it dating from the 16th and 17th centuries.
That brings us to the end of the indoor tour at Oxburgh, but there's still plenty more to explore, including the grounds and the Catholic chapel, so do stay with us. Stepping out of the Armoury, we return to the courtyard, a peaceful and atmospheric space enclosed by the house's inner walls. It's one of the best places to appreciate the architecture up close. The rich brickwork, the tall chimneys, and the sense of being at the heart of the building. On a sunny day, it's also a lovely spot to pause for refreshments, and it's here that you'll find both the shop and one of the cafes. There are a couple of places to enjoy a drink at Oxburgh, but our favourite is the Servants' Hall Tea Room. Set within the old kitchen quarters, it's the perfect place to enjoy a National Trust cream tea and admire the fabulous 18th century chimney piece and the original kitchen range.
A short walk from the house brings us to the chapel of the Immaculate Conception and St. Margaret. This private Catholic chapel opened in 1836 and is still owned by the Bedingfeld family, with Mass celebrated here regularly. Its most striking feature is the early 16th century altarpiece, depicting scenes from the life of Christ, purchased in Belgium by the 6th Baronet and his wife Margaret. After Sir Henry's death in 1862, Margaret commissioned a marble and alabaster effigy in his memory, reflecting his deep interest in medieval chivalry. The south-facing stained glass window celebrates the family's heraldry and long ancestry. The chapel isn't always open to visitors, so it's worth checking ahead if it's something you're keen to see.
Close to the house, there are several areas of the garden to explore, including the parterre, kitchen garden, and orchard. During our early spring visit, none of these spaces were looking their best, and the parterre, currently undergoing its first major refurbishment since 1972, was looking particularly sorry for itself. The work here is due to be complete before spring 2027. Whatever the season though, there's plenty of variety at Oxburgh for anyone who enjoys being outdoors. A series of clearly marked walking trails, shown on a board near the house and on the estate map, range from a gentle 10-minute stroll to a more energetic 90-minute circuit. My Lady's Wood is a lovely ornamental mix of water and woodland, named after Margaret, wife of the 6th Baronet. From here you get wonderful views back towards the house. The kitchen garden, rather bare during our visit, bursts into life in summer with fruit, vegetables and a cut flower garden filled with dahlias and alstroemeria. In one corner stands the glass house, rebuilt by volunteers in 2010 to reflect an earlier Victorian design. Wherever you choose to wander, the gardens make it clear that Oxburgh's charm extends far beyond its walls.
Before we wrap up our video tour of Oxburgh, here are a few handy tips to help you make the most of your visit. Bring a picnic. There are plenty of benches dotted around the grounds where you can stop, relax and enjoy the views. In summer, you'll often find deck chairs set out too, to enable a moment of relaxation. Wear suitable shoes. The paths close to the house are fine for normal footwear, but the longer walking trails can be uneven or even a little boggy depending on the season. Walk right around the moat. Each of the 4 facades has something unique and interesting to admire, so it's well worth doing the full circuit. Try and visit at Christmas. The house is decorated so beautifully, with a different theme every year. It's a lovely trip for the whole family.
If you're looking to add to your National Trust tally without travelling too far, less than 25 miles from Oxburgh, you'll find the elegant Peckover House and Garden. This beautifully preserved Georgian townhouse was once home to a prominent Quaker banking family. Inside, the house reflects the quiet elegance of the Peckover family, with graceful rooms and thoughtful details. Outside, the stunning walled garden is the real highlight. A series of intimate, beautifully planted spaces that feel like a secret oasis in the town.
And that brings us to the end of our tour of Oxburgh Hall, a place shaped by history, family and quiet resilience. Here's why we think it's well worth a visit. Oxburgh is one of those places that rewards you on every level. The history, the craftsmanship, the stories and the landscape all come together in a way that feels both intimate and quietly spectacular. It's a house with real personality, shaped by the same family for over 5 centuries, and that continuity gives it a depth you don't often find. If you're looking for a day out that blends beauty, atmosphere and a sense of discovery, Oxburgh is well worth the journey. Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, we'd love you to like, comment and subscribe. And join us again for the next stop on our National Trust Grand Tour.